Welcome friends to Farm Fresh Designs 59. In today's video, I have 3 amazing projects that you can make for those special men in your lives as we approach Father's Day. Also, don't forget this Saturday, June the 8th at 9 a.m., I will be choosing a winner for those rare and coveted IOD Boughs of Holly set of resin molds. So make sure to watch that video and listen for the directions in the video to be eligible. So let's get started. My first project is a mirror, and I cannot get that mirror to come out on the back. It's glued in, so I'm just going to use it as the backing because all I need is that frame and something as a backing. So I begin by painting the actual mirror with Rust-Oleum chiffon cream. So now I'm going to do a special paint technique on this frame. So I start out with Dixie Belle in the navy. And I make sure to try to be really careful around those edges, but I think I do have to end up going back and just making a few touch-ups here and there. So now I have an old sea sponge, and I just dab it in Dixie Belle Dusty Blue, and I just use that sponge to kind of just dab all over that frame. And I dip it in that little lid, and then I wipe it off on that little piece of parchment paper just so that I don't have a lot of extra paint on that sponge. And I go all around on the top, and then I also go around on the edges. Next, I pick up another little sponge, and I use that same technique, and this time I use Dixie Belle Manatee Gray, because at the end of it, it looks like the frame has a denim effect. So now that it's all dry, I have put blue painter's tape just around the edges because I don't want to stamp over that blue paint that I've already done. And I'm using the IOD Courier Stamp. And I realize that I'm kind of in a weird situation where I'm having to stamp on like an oval, and I've got that frame around it. So it's kind of tricky, but I just take my time with it. And when I finish with the title up at the top, then I start with the typography in the middle, and then I work my way to the side, because I want this project to look a little bit more manly with the newspaper. Now, this decoupage paper is beautiful, and so it has 2 different pieces on it, and one is called Victorian Gentleman, and I'll make sure to link it in the description box below. But I'm going to be using the decoupage paper that is the Fox. He is just so precious and just so regal looking. Now, I start off by tearing all of those edges around, like the little white edges, and I could have used a water pen. But at the time, it was just easier to just tear it with my fingers because I really wasn't sure how much I was going to need to tear. So then, after I tore off those edges, then I decided that I was going to tear that rice paper more so that it's just the fox himself. So I tear almost right up to the edge of like the little body and the ears. Now, normally with decoupage paper, if I am putting it on a surface that's not totally white, then I would paint the back of this decoupage paper. But because this stamp is sort of faint, and I am okay if it kind of shows through on this fox, then I don't worry about it. And so I just start out by putting a little bit of Mod Podge up at the top, and then I just do a little bit more and a little bit more, and work my way all the way down to the bottom. And then sometimes I use like a little piece of cellophane wrap to kind of pull out the wrinkles. But you'll find that with decoupage paper, you're not going to have wrinkles like you normally would have with napkins. So it's a much easier process. Now I need to add a little bit extra to him. So now I need to put something on his head, because in the past I've used little molds of crayons for little girls. So this time I need something for a guy. Now this is the IOD Invitation Only mold. And I'm going to be only making a resin mold of the little hat of the fox part of the mold. So I took some hot glue and I just made like a little barrier right below that hat, and then I made a resin mold, and that glue sort of keeps that resin from like running down into the rest of the mold. And I pull it out when it's sort of soft so I can trim it off, and I painted it black, and then I put a little bit of gold gilding wax on it just to kind of spice it up, and I gave him a little hat. So what do you think of this just regal little man? And I am in love with the way that this frame came out, because it sort of matches the little jacket that he's got on, and it's got that denim effect. And it was super easy to make, and in all honesty, I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but I was really excited. So if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel and become part of our family. So let's keep going. So my next piece is just a little plaque that I thrifted recently, and it had some engraved words in it, and I needed to get rid of those. So I just used some like wood putty, and I'm just kind of spreading it on, and then to get it on this little plaque, and then I just use this little popsicle stick to kind of get it right into those words, because I need those to be covered up. And when it was completely dry, then I sanded it. Now, I know that this is not a white background, but I'm okay with it. And this is some Roycycled paper, and I love the colors of it. So I just went on and put it down with Mod Podge, and then I used sandpaper to trim off the edges. And once again, I'm using the invitation only mold, and this one was made out of resin. It was just made up extra. And now it's not going to end up looking like this. I originally thought, well, since it's a fox, I'll kind of make it sort of that color that foxes are, but it didn't turn out good. So I did paint the jacket and the base and the hat black. And then I went back and painted his little shirt with Rust-Oleum chiffon cream, I think. And then I painted the little buttons black. And then I went back on the face and painted that as well. And I used some Dixie Belle Voodoo Gel Stain in the natural to kind of darken it up a little bit. And I think I'm happy with it. And I put some gold gilding wax on that little center of his tie. But once again, I just think he's so precious. And the day that I went to the thrift shop with my granddaughter, they had 2 of these plaques, and I didn't get but one. And I wish I could have another one because I just love the shape of it. Now, my last little project is a little mini wooden dough bowl that I thought that this was what I was going to do for the video, and I didn't like it. So I'm going to use that blending technique like I've used in a previous video. So I'm just painting over it with Dixie Belle Dusty Blue. And I go all around like the little edges of it. And then if you'll notice, I've got 2 more colors right there. And I go ahead and begin blending while it's still wet. And then I come in with Dixie Belle Manatee Gray. And I just kind of blend it, and I pull it into that, pull that blue into it, and do that in the center of it. And then before it gets dry, then I pull out another brush, and then right in the center, I use Dixie Belle Paint Blue. Now, it looks a little extra like light on the video, but in person, it does not. And I just blend it, and I just kind of keep blending it till I'm happy. But I don't have very much paint on my paintbrush so that it won't kind of glob up someplace else. But I've done this effect recently, and I really like it. And I also did this all around the edges of it and on the bottom of it. Now this is the IOD Apothecary labels, and I'm actually using 3 letters. I'm using UNC, which my husband went to school at University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Go Heels. And so that's what everyone sees when they think about Chapel Hill, UNC. So this is for my husband, and this is going to be something that he can throw his change in, or he may sit it on the little table beside his recliner and put the remote in it, but probably not because he's a man and he likes to hold on to it. He don't want to make sure anybody grabs it. And then I just needed it to kind of be finished off a little bit more. So I used Dixie Belle white wax, and then that sort of, kind of gives it a good finish to it. And this will just be for him. And I showed it to him last night and he really liked it. So when you look at this, I hope you're a Tar Heel fan, because we are in this house. And UNC Chapel Hill, their mascot is a ram. And we actually have a brass little figurine, well, it's not little, of a ram. And that's my husband's football trophy. And that's his little coffee cup that says Dallas Cowboys. So we are all sports at this house. So friends, I want you to sit back and look at the 3 projects today that I made for Father's Day. And make sure to let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. So once again, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video.